Hello everyone, SmugStick here. Welcome to a brand new What If Trunks Stayed in the Past. This is an older series which I put on hiatus for a while. It seems like it was completely cursed, because every time I tried to edit it or had someone else edit it, something went completely wrong. But the one I'm really excited for is Superhero, so I hope you look forward to that one. A huge thank you to Novaria_8 for helping me write this one. Don't forget to leave a like if you want to see more, and let's get on with this story. A week has passed since the events concerning Zamasu unfolded. Unfortunately, our heroes didn't have the privilege to rest, as the Tournament of Power loomed ever closer. During this short time frame, Goku had put together a team, consisting of Vegeta, present Gohan, future Trunks, Piccolo, Frieza, Krillin, Android 17, Android 18, and of course, himself. Future Gohan wasn't too keen on the idea, but after some persuasion from Trunks and the sense of responsibility towards this timeline, he finally agreed. In the peaceful days leading up to the tournament, the Z Fighters trained rigorously. Krillin and 18 spent most of their time perfecting some combos, while Goku spent most of the time recruiting and fighting these new warriors, like 17 and Frieza, just like the original anime. Present Gohan and Piccolo spent their days engaging in grueling training with sporadic meditation breaks. Gohan had forgotten just how strict Piccolo could be, but he was happy to spend time with his master. In between spending time with this world's Chi-Chi and Goten, future Gohan also attends a few more training sessions. He had really missed training with Mr. Piccolo. It was during one of these sparring matches when present Gohan commented that he should pay a visit to the Elder Kai, as he would be able to unlock his potential. Future Gohan nodded in agreement and traveled to the land of the Kais with the help of Goku's instant transmission to undergo this sacred ritual. The Elder Kai was confused. Didn't he do this already? The Trunks from this timeline, as well as Goten, warmed up to future Gohan just like they did with future Trunks. Gohan especially took a liking to Goten. Goten was just happy to have a future big brother, just like what Trunks kinda had. One night, however, Goten innocently asked the future warrior why there wasn't some cool future version of himself with a sword or cool battle scars. Gohan laughed at this strange compliment, but didn't want to insult the young boy's intelligence with a lie. So he explained how their father had died very early in his timeline, meaning there was never an opportunity for their parents to have another kid. Goten sighed and mumbled a quiet, "Oh." Gohan could see the sadness in those eyes. But you know what, Goten? I think that just makes this timeline of yours even more special. It's the only one to have you in it. And I'm very fortunate that I got a chance to visit here and meet you and the rest. The Gohan of this universe is extremely lucky to have a brother like you. Goten's face lit up at this response, and he hugged his future brother. Wanna help me train some more? Do I ever? Finally, there was future Trunks, who had spent a good portion of his brief intermission training with his father. But when he wasn't doing that, he would often wander outside to the wilderness and meditate, taking in his surroundings and letting himself be at peace and alone for once, as he knew this tournament could mean the end of everything as he knew it. He was truly blessed to have been given not only a second chance to save his own future world, but the chance to meet and connect with not only the past version of his father, Goku and Gohan, but even his own master. He truly did believe he was fortunate, despite going through hell and back. It was all worth it in the end. Now, if only he could get this new power mastered. That white-haired form he tapped into in the previous battle was crucial, and would be even more so if he wanted to secure a victory in this next challenge. Finally, the fateful day of the Tournament of Power arrived. Chi-Chi, Bulma, and Videl hugged their husbands and bid them farewell with tears in their eyes. Finally, they arrived. The Universe 7 competitors all looked between one another, emotions ranging from apprehension all the way to excitement. It had seemed that the future warrior's attitude and seriousness had had a small impact on the present timeline's heroes, as this world's Goku and Vegeta seemed to be slightly more focused and were taking this tournament seriously. Zeno appeared before Goku and expressed how excited he was to see Goku's fight. All the teams were transported to the arena, and the Grand Priest gave a short speech, giving an overview of how the tournament and its rules would work. The Gohans go over their strategy once more. They would try and avoid fighting alone at all costs, and make sure that there's always another teammate nearby in case things go south. The 8 universes stare each other down in an unnerving silence as the countdown begins. And with that, Zeno announces the start. Immediately, ki blasts and energy attacks littered the tournament stage. All that could be heard was the sounds of air whipping around as punches, kicks, and blast slides through. Future Gohan and Future Trunks gave a look of determination to one another. This was it. Goku, Vegeta, Android 17, and Frieza all have a slight smirk as they walk forward from the rest of the group. Android 18 decides to stay back with Krillin to get a feel of what was going on. This is nothing against your plan, Gohan. I'm sure it'll help you guys. But this is just how we handle things, you know? And with that, those 4 warriors ran off to do their own thing. Present Gohan facepalmed. What did you expect? Still, Gohan was slightly irked by his father's decision to do this, and followed after him. All who remained was Future Gohan, Future Trunks, Krillin, 18, and Piccolo. So, half of the original team. As in the original story, Goku and Vegeta come face to face with the Tree of the Dangers. But unlike the original story, they have Gohan there too. Together, the 3 are able to take them all out, and expend less ki as a result. They pushed the 3 of them from the ring, and with that, the Universe 9 warriors were eliminated. And soon enough, so was the whole universe. The Grand Priest announced this, as Universe 9 was erased. It was at this point that reality really set in for everyone. This was life or death. Meanwhile, the group left near the starting point are taking out warriors left, right, and center. Seems like Gohan's plan was very efficient. Too bad present Gohan wasn't here to see it in action. Suddenly, a long, dark green arm reached forward from the dust clouds. The arm grabbed Future Gohan's gi, and suddenly another one appeared, landing a punch squarely on his chin. Gohan knew to expect some strange techniques and moves, but he wasn't expecting that. It reminded him of training with Mr. Piccolo. Wait a second. Is that what I think it is? He looked towards Piccolo, who was already looking at him. Both warriors then turned their attention to the dust clearing. Stepping out from it came 2 Namekians, as well as one much shorter, slender figure. Caba. Caba greets Trunks and then states that he would like to pit himself against the future warrior since his father, Vegeta, had helped him mentor too. He felt like it would be a worthwhile battle for the both of them. Trunks accepted the young kid's request, as he was also curious to see how much stronger he had gotten since the Universe 6 tournament. The U6 Saiyans seemed to possess astonishing growth, even for Saiyans. He smirked inwardly, as if he knew that since their last encounter, he had discovered an unbelievable power which even put his own dad's and Goku's to shame. In the meantime, Piccolo and Future Gohan were approached by 2 Namekians, who also revealed themselves to be from Universe 6 like Caba. They also explained how they alone were the culmination of every Namekian from Universe 6, as they had to perform fusion in order to deal with a planetary threat. Piccolo was extremely impressed at their strength, as well as just amazed at what his race could accomplish when pushed to their limits. He and Future Gohan accepted this duel. The 2 Saiyans clashed, evenly matched right now. Neither of them had transformed just yet. This back and forth of kicks and punches continued until Caba burst out into Super Saiyan. Trunks smirked and transformed into Super Saiyan 1 as well, causing the sleeves of his jacket to rip. Once again, the 2 Saiyans traded blows. Trunks ended up powering up into Super Saiyan 2 to handle Caba. It was strange, but it seemed that the Universe 6 Saiyan's potential was far greater than their own. But it didn't matter to Trunks. He was still stronger and far more experienced. Caba was at a disadvantage, but he was able to still keep up. Trunks flipped back before powering down completely. Caba was confused, but then he began to feel an enormous ki surge erupting from Trunks, and watched as a transparent-esque white ki enveloped him. This isn't a Super Saiyan transformation. It's much stronger. Caba braced himself as Trunks once again rushed towards him and punched him hard on the chest. Caba was winded by the blow, but still managed to fight back, firing ki blast at him and then flipping backwards to gain some distance. The 2 continued the battle, as Caba was pushed into Super Saiyan 2 out of pure frustration and the need to be more powerful. Caba looked over to Trunks, then began charging a Gallic gun. Trunks responded accordingly with his own Gallic gun. Once both beams were fully charged, they launched them at each other, giving it their all. The entire area shook from the intensity of the blast, and some other contestants even turned to watch the beam struggle, Vegeta being one of them, despite being in the midst of battle against Universe 2's Ribrianne. The prince was proud they had both come so far. He then focused his attention on his foe and blasted her with her own powerful Big Bang attack, knocking her down to the ground. The beam struggle between the two Saiyans continued for a little while, until Caba's beam began to give in to Trunks's. Despite being in his ultimate form, Trunks was flicking into his beast form, giving him an edge in battle and allowing him to come out victorious. Meanwhile, the battle between future Gohan, Piccolo, and the Universe 6 Saiyans intensified. The two Namekians had extraordinary battle prowess, despite both Piccolo and Gohan outdoing them in raw strength. The two Namekians had keen battle instincts, and it was clear they were seasoned warriors. Despite the battle being difficult, future Gohan couldn't help but be excited while fighting alongside his mentor. This Piccolo was just like how he remembered his master, but even more compassionate and caring. He was happy that Piccolo had grown into such a respectable warrior. Suddenly, the larger of the two Namekians extended his arms, grabbing Piccolo by the neck and throwing him against some debris. While Piccolo was recovering, the Namekian rushed towards him, firing a mouth beam at full intensity. Future Gohan couldn't think, he just knew he had to stop the blast from hitting his master. So the future warrior threw himself before the blast, shielding Piccolo from the deadly beam. Once the light cleared, Gohan fell forward. But before he could hit the ground, Piccolo stretched out his arm and lowered him gently. He knew Gohan would be okay in a bit, for now he could rest. Piccolo used the Hellstone grenade, scattering small key balls around the two Namekians before bringing them all together and exploding them both. The Namekians at this point were badly hurt, but not willing to back down just yet. Suddenly, future Gohan rushed past Piccolo and began fighting them both at the same time. "I'm counting on you, Piccolo." Piccolo knew exactly what he meant and began charging up a special beam cannon, all whilst Gohan kept the two Namekians occupied. After about 2 minutes, Gohan began charging up a Super Kamehameha, which he used to blast them both. However, despite the intensity of Gohan's blast, it wasn't enough to overpower the mouth beams. The beam clashed together before the Namekian's mouth beam gave waste to Gohan, and at the same time, Piccolo launched his special beam cannon, hitting both of them at the same time and knocking them from the ring. Gohan walked over to Piccolo, lending him a hand up, before pulling Gohan into a hug. "That was impressive, Gohan. I'm proud of you. And I know future me would be proud too." The tournament continued just like the original story, and as time went on, more and more contestants were knocked off the stage. Goku even approached Jiren, and the two engaged in heated combat. Goku was obviously outmatched, both in speed and power. Beerus and Shin watched the battle play out at the edge of their seats. Seeing Goku struggle this much was something they had never even begun to imagine was possible. It was a tough pill to swallow. This was an impossible battle. Goku was growing tired and fast. Some of the other contestants had stopped their fight, all to watch this play out. Everyone had unanimously come to the conclusion that Jiren the Grey was the most powerful warrior here. So, learning his battle techniques and fighting style would be crucial. Goku and Jiren continued the fight until Goku flipped back, gaining some distance between the two. The Saiyan then raised his hands towards the sky. The Spirit Bomb grew in size as more warriors lent their energy, until it was finally ready. Goku transformed into Super Saiyan Blue, using his Kaioken times 20 and hurled the ball down. But Jiren did not move. He didn't even react. The arena watched in anticipation as Goku's presence seemingly disappeared as the ball hit him back. Both Gohans stopped what they were doing and tried to lock onto their father's presence, but it was no use. Trunks and Vegeta both stopped as well. Was Goku gone? Suddenly, a bright light erupted from the crater left behind by the Spirit Bomb. Goku stood there, surrounded in an intense heat and some strange aura. No one knew what this was, but Goku rushed Jiren and continued their battle. Only this time, his movements were completely different. Jiren wasn't able to land one blow, and the tides of battle were turning. Until, of course, Ultra Instinct Omen wore off, leaving Goku battered and bruised. Like in the original story, he was moved to a safer location. The fight continued. One by one, universes were erased. However, some battles deviated from canon. For example, when Caulifla went up against Goku, Kale began getting furious at Goku for taking Caulifla away from her, causing her to undergo her transformation. She began fighting Goku alongside Caulifla until Gohan intervened and got her attention for a short while. Gohan attempted to calm her down, as he could see that she was suffering. "I can sense that you and I are similar in some ways. We both have gentle appearances, but have a dormant power hidden within. It's kinda comforting to know that there are others who are like me in this tournament. But not only that, I think the two of us are fighting for those we love. More so than ourselves. I can see it in your eyes that you don't particularly like fighting for yourself." Kale had calmed down a considerable amount at this point, her pupils coming back as well as reason. She thanked Gohan for helping her calm down while she was overcome by jealousy and anger. Gohan smiled in response, then suggested that perhaps a battle between them could be beneficial. Kale could feel a similar untapped energy and genuine kindness within Gohan, and agreed. The two of them battle for some time until they're rudely interrupted. Caulifla rushes in and grabs Kale, telling her it's time for them to use their trump card. Gohan is a little disappointed, as he was enjoying the battle against Kale. Goku, on the other hand, is excited by this trump card they had in mind. Gohan sighed and watched alongside his father as the two female Saiyans took a pair of Patara earrings, fusing into Kefla. To Goku's disappointment, Kefla stated how she would like to engage in battle against Gohan first. Gohan was surprised to hear this, but happy that Kale had enjoyed their little match this much. Gohan was flattered and accepted her proposal, but was interrupted by his future self. Wouldn't this battle be more fair if it was the two of us against the two of you? Kefla was silent for a second, before agreeing to take them both on, as this would be more fair. The two Gohans nodded at each other before both of them powered up into their ultimate forms and got into their battle stances. Kefla smirked and responded with her own. The three warriors clashed, sending a huge shockwave across the entire arena. Present Gohan, after feeling Kefla's strength for himself, was really glad his future counterpart was there helping him out. The three Saiyans darted across the tournament stage, sending energy waves and blasts everywhere. Kefla was specially flashy with her moves. The hybrids opened their auras up and sent out simultaneous explosive waves, knocking Kefla back and off balance. Then the future warrior fired a Super Masenko, knocking the fused fighter back even further, causing her to block. Whilst future Gohan did this, present Gohan rushed towards her and used a soaring dragon strike to knock her up into the air, where she was struck by a special beam cannon performed by future Gohan. I've had plenty of time in Otherworld to practice this one. Piccolo, who was now watching the battle royale from the spectator seats, due to a miscalculated scuffle with Toppo, was overcome with pride, though he never admitted out loud. Kefla fell backwards, splitting back into Caulifla and Kale. The rest of Universe 6 was already eliminated, so if she was to fall, then that would be it for them. Both Gohans watched sadly as she fell backwards and off of the tournament stage. It was a solemn moment for all the Universe 7 contestants. Beerus looked over at his brother, Champa. He wanted to tease his twin, but he couldn't find the heart to do it. Champa, however, wasted no time in taking the moment and doing just that. The end of the tournament was approaching quickly. Piccolo and Krillin were the only eliminations from Universe 7 so far. Both Gohans, Trunks, Goku, Vegeta, Frieza, and 17 remained. Frieza was nowhere to be found. The androids were together and had just taken care of Anilaza with the help of Goku and Vegeta, who was still recovering from his earlier battle against Jiren. Jiren himself sat meditating in the middle of the stage. Toppo, on the other hand, made his way to the androids, who were now alone again, as Goku and Vegeta had rushed off to take out different opponents. Toppo was a formidable foe for 17 and 18, who were finding it difficult to counter his hard-hitting moves. Sure, they had superior ki reserves, but that wouldn't be useful if they couldn't get through his defenses. Suddenly, Toppo rushed 18, grabbing her by the face and throwing her towards the edge. 17 could only watch as his twin was eliminated, or so he thought. At the last millisecond, an orange-clad warrior swooped in, catching the blonde android. 18 opened her eyes to see none other than future Gohan. I may not like you guys, but I'm not gonna allow our universe to lose. I'm willing to get a better opinion of you two. You can't really blame me though, since, you know. Anyways, let's take this guy out. Both androids nodded in unison, and 17 rushed in front of the other two, creating his signature android barrier and shielding them from Toppo's energy blasts. Then 18 rushed with 2 Destructo Discs, while Gohan charged up a Super Kamehameha and fired it his way. Toppo was knocked backwards from the assault of the attacks, but it wasn't quite enough. In the meantime, Dispo was taking care of weaker opponents, until he came across future Trunks and present Gohan. Sure, Dispo was strong, but against both Mystic Gohan and Mystic Trunks, he was pretty outmatched. The two hybrids took the chance to take out the speedy Pride Trooper once and for all. Dispo rushed towards Gohan, who smirked as his afterimage vanished, and Trunks appeared out of nowhere, putting his leg out and tripping the Purple Rabbit, who shared a strange resemblance to Beerus, hurling him straight out of the ring. The hybrids smiled and high-fived each other, which ended abruptly, as a purple blast, scarily similar to something from Beerus, was hurled towards the two of them. They both jumped back just in time to dodge the attack, but that wasn't the end of it. As soon as they jumped, a large figure enveloped in purple ki rushed towards them and launched a devastating left hook at present Gohan, sending him flying from the arena and off into the void. He was disqualified. Trunks glared at Toppo, but something was different. He was surrounded by a dark purple aura. Was he a god of destruction now too? Future Gohan and the androids, who were bruised and battered, rushed to Trunks. After seeing the disrespect they showed to Dispo, Toppo became enraged and proceeded to transform into this state, abandoning his fight. Future Gohan was pretty annoyed by this and called Toppo out on it. But the once calm Toppo was now seemingly filled with deep rage. He glared at the four warriors, announcing that he'd put them down for good. They clashed and fought for a while. This was definitely the most intense fight they had been on today. The androids worked together with Gohan and Future Trunks, managing to chip away at his defenses bit by bit. Toppo was just growing ever more impatient with every strike, until he began assaulting the four with his Justice Finger Flash. Both androids rushed in to get in front of the hybrids and activated their android barriers. The attack lasted for a good minute, and the two androids fell to the ground with exhaustion. They had infinite ki, but using a technique like that for so long took a toll. The androids looked back at Gohan and Trunks, and then 17 smiled, before saying, "We can tell that you have a lot of hidden power still laying dormant inside you both. So, take this next attack as an apology for our future counterparts. In return, win this tournament." And with that, the androids powered up, shaking the stage with their combined auras, before rushing the Pride Trooper using the same technique they had used all those years ago against Gohan. Toppo was taken completely by surprise and knocked to the ground. The androids then grabbed the God of Destruction in training and dragged him off of the arena alongside themselves. Trunks and Gohan were speechless, and they thanked the androids for their sacrifice. They promised they wouldn't let it go to waste, powering up again into their mystic form and setting their sights on Jiren, who was now facing their fathers. They were holding their own against the Pride Trooper, but it was clear that they were running out of stamina. The younger Saiyans rushed their way, firing a Masenko at him. Jiren was relatively unharmed at this point. He had a few scrapes and bruises more than anything, and just looked annoyed and frustrated. The four Universe 7 warriors and Jiren were the only remaining contestants at this point. Surely the four of them could handle this foe. Goku and Vegeta powered up into Super Saiyan Blue, with Goku activating his Kaioken and Vegeta powering up even further into his evolved state. The assault continued. Gohan and Trunks were surprised at their fathers. It seems like they didn't have any limits. It was scary how they could keep evolving like this, but they wouldn't allow themselves to get left behind, joining in the assault. However, their moves were much more synchronized and in tune with one another, with Goku and Vegeta noticing this. Vegeta began his final impact, while Goku rushed in with his meteor combination. Jiren was overwhelmed at being attacked from both sides simultaneously, and took considerable damage. Once the assault was over, Jiren reached to his sides, grabbing both warriors by the collars, and spun them, flying to either end of the ring. Gohan and Trunks jumped at Jiren in anger, but just like their fathers before them, after their attacks, the two of them were blasted at point-blank range, and flung into their fathers. All the Universe 7 warriors were moments away from being eliminated. Vegeta and Goku looked at each other, as Goku finally tapped into Ultra Instinct once more, while Vegeta used Evolution. With their last ounce of strength, they kicked their sons back onto the tournament stage. "We're leaving this to you both. Work together, combine your strength, defeat Jiren. We know you can do it, just like before." The two hybrids shouted at their fathers as they were eliminated and transported to the seats. It was all up to Trunks and Gohan now. The two hybrids looked at each other. They had one final ace up their sleeve, positioning themselves away and beginning to dance. Jiren was confused at this, not knowing what this was. They came together as a brilliant light illuminated the tournament stage. The Zenos shouted in excitement and wondered what this new fused fighter could do. The future fused fighter, Gohanks. Gohanks immediately powered up into Mystic, and then one more time, surprising everyone as his hair grew into a silver shade, shaking and crackling with electricity. Even the Grand Priest looked shocked at this sudden development. Gohanks was using his beast state. Jiren powered up fully and stared down at the fighters. The two clashed, shaking the arena with every blow. The Grand Priest ended up having to shield himself and the Zenos, as well as the spectators, due to how violent the shockwaves were. Jiren was actually up against the ropes now, and he was struggling to keep up with the fused hybrids for a moment. Their synchronization must have been flawless, because their power felt multiplied by hundreds. Jiren wasn't happy with his outcome at all. Strength was all about oneself. You shouldn't have to rely on others or teamwork in battle. that was just a weakness. Jiren had fought solo the entirety of his fight, while Trunks, on the other hand, had been working with his allies. Your pride and refusal to work with your teammates has been your biggest weakness, Jiren. If you had teamed up with Toppo or any of your other allies back then, instead of abstaining from battle, things may have ended differently for you. Jiren only glared back, obviously angered by these words. Then he began using his Power Rush attack on his enemy. Gohan took every single hit. The smoke cleared, but to everyone's surprise, Gohan simply jumped back, brushing off his clothes and stretching out his back. Was that all? The crowd was silent in disbelief. Then, a voice cut through the silence. "Trunks, Gohan, do it now!" Gohan smirked and dashed towards Jiren, punching him squarely in the face with his soaring dragon strike, which sent him up in the air. Then the hybrid fusion began charging a powerful special beam cannon, only something was different. He looked upwards towards Jiren, then pointed his finger up to the sky, sending out a special beam-like attack. Only it was much larger and encased in a burning aura.
Special burning, heat dome attack!
Jiren was hit by the enormous burning dome of ki, which enveloped him and the stage in its entirety. When the light finally faded, Jiren was seen falling off of the tournament stage, and Gohan was nowhere to be found. Instead laid Gohan and Trunks, exhausted and battered. It was finally over, or so our heroes thought. As the dust from the final attack settled, a golden figure stepped out from behind a large piece of debris. It was none other than Frieza. Before anyone could react, the cold tyrant picked up Gohan and threw him off of the edge, eliminating him in an instant. Trunks couldn't do anything but watch in horror as Gohan was so easily taken out. The lavender-haired hybrid tried his hardest to get up from the floor, but he was too battered and beaten at this point. Frieza laughed smugly as he looked down at Trunks.
"Do you really think I've forgotten what you did to me all those years ago? You're the one who ended my life after all. You humiliated me and took everything from me that day."
Trunks was stunned. Had Frieza really been holding on to that grudge this whole time? I mean, now that he thinks about it, that was completely in character, to be honest. Trunks only glared back at the Emperor.
I just wanted you to know that. And that I could have ended you if I wanted to. I don't care for this tournament though. I know I'll have my wish granted. So, have yours.
And with that, Frieza hopped off the stage, eliminating himself from the tournament and crowning Trunks as the victor. Trunks was still in utter shock at what just happened. The Grand Prix congratulated Universe 7, who were the only remaining spectators in the entire multiverse. Then, the Super Dragon Balls were brought together, and after the Grand Priest uttered his magic words, Super Shenron was summoned. Trunks suddenly found some strength and stood before the dragon, who was towering over the entirety of the tournament stage. His head alone was larger than the entire arena, and with an audible gulp, Trunks began to tell the dragon his wish. "I wish for all the erased universes to be restored, along with the inhabitants and the gods." And with that, the dragon's eyes glowed a deep crimson as the wish was finally granted. Universe 7 had won the Tournament of Power, and everyone began to say their goodbyes. Jiren now understood the importance of teamwork, and he promised to fight them all together, as a team. Next time they encountered each other, Kale and Caulifla wanted to learn more from Goku, Vegeta, Trunks, and Gohan, making them promise to visit them in Planet Sadala one day. Kale in particular wanted to learn from Gohan. Well, both of them. The celebrations began, with 17 excited to leave and return home. But before he did, Future Gohan stopped him. He didn't know what to say. No words would come out. The face he was looking at was the face that killed him, a face he hated. But he turned to see Android 18, playing with Marin and Krillin. Things were different in this universe. He just had to accept that. Future Gohan nodded at 17, who simply smiled, and told him, "Yeah, take care of Trunks. You're the only two that really understand each other. I know what that's like. I have that with my sister. I'll see you." Android 17 departed, with Gohan taking a deep sigh and turning back to look at Pan, Videl, Gohan, and future Trunks, before his father brought him into a headlock, telling him, "Well, you guys won us the tournament, but that doesn't mean your training is done. Come on! Me and Vegeta are about to go have a fight." Future Gohan rolled his eyes, but he knew from the expression Trunks had that their adventures weren't done just yet. Next, what if Trunks stayed in the past? Thank you for watching, guys. As always, a huge thank you to the patrons of the channel. Patreons got to see this video as well as the complete story of the baby arc a little early. That video is coming out on Sunday. I know videos have slowed down a little bit, and that's only because I'm trying to get some series and videos done early so I don't fall behind like I do sometimes. My next big story is going to be what if Piccolo got his potential unlocked early. Though I think I'm gonna call it what if he got orange early, even though he's not gonna get orange in the first part. Anyways, if you're itching for more Dragon Ball content, my latest full story is one I'm really proud of. What if Janemba turned good? It may sound like a crazy title, but it's a ton of fun and people are really liking it. I hope you guys are having a great 2024 and I'll see you on the next video.